There's a glow that's burning in the night. I can see it on the other side. Are we dancing into paradise? On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. There's a love that's waiting to ignite. I can feel it burning deep inside. Are we dancing into paradise? On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. Hallelujah. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Shine a light of good for all to see. Full of hope and love and melody. We're all dancers waiting to be free. On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul.
Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are made of gold. Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are. Oh, hallelujah.
Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. 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 Like a river flowing in my soul.
So there's a lot of talk about the Second Vatican Council, a lot of conversation, a lot of things that are true, and a lot of things that are not so much true. Hi, my name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
My name is Father Rick Arriola, and I'm one of the parochial vicars here at St. Bart's.
And I'm Father Nicolas Ramirez, pastor of St. Francis Cabrini.
Welcome to Conversing Clergy, clergy who talk and listen.
Here I am at your door.
Smooth.
Would you let me in? I have gained.
Hey, thanks for the correction.
So there is Father Nicholas completely hijacking the intro there with his commentary. It's great. No, it's great. So yeah, we're so glad that you're with us, and of course we have Father Nicholas with us, who's always welcome here as a beloved guest and a son of St. Bartholomew, we can say, and always here with us. It's great.
I thought he was a father.
No, he's a son.
St. Bartholomew.
He's a son of St. Bartholomew. Now he's a son. He was a father. Now he's more like the prodigal son.
There you go.
Yeah,
That
because he took off from St. Bart's. So very good. We want to say words of welcome to all those who are regular subscribers and also to our Patreon patrons. Thank you so much for being with us and for helping us to continue with financial support. And welcome to all of our visitors who are with us for the very first time this evening. we do this kind of thing every single Wednesday, and also we have our rosaries in Spanish on Tuesday. On Thursday we have them in English, and also we publish different kinds of videos to continue in this conversation, and that's what Conversing Clergy is all about. It's having conversation among clergy and also with the laity, so that we can hear Jesus himself converse with us, and that our hearts may burn within us, so that we come in contact with him and become truly disciples of our Lord. So we're very glad that you're with us tonight. If you want to continue to stay in contact with Conversing Clergy, the best thing that you can do is to hit the like button on Facebook, and also the like for the page and also the video. Feel free to follow the Facebook page as well. And if you're on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button to subscribe and have the videos listed on your home page. But the best thing you can do probably is to hit the bell so that you can receive notifications. And make sure when you do that, you can click all instead of personalize, and that way you receive all the notifications whenever we go live or when we publish videos. Alrighty. So we, because this is Conversing Clergy and it's a conversation, we invite you to engage in conversation on the YouTube and the Facebook chats, and we do our best to engage with you on those chats. We do get more people as we're moving along and continuing with our different episodes. We get more people involved and chatting, and we're very glad that that's happening. So we do our best to try to include all of the different comments, but I want you to please feel free to engage there, and we include you, and you actually shape what the evening looks like. So the schedule tonight is that we will talk about 7 myths of Vatican II. And we want to say 7 myths about Vatican II, not 7 myths of Vatican II, which is a very different thing. 7 myths about Vatican II. Now, we're not going to do all 7 tonight, because I was talking to Father Nicolas and Father Ricardo about tonight, and we said that might be a bit too ambitious. And so we split it up into 2 parts. So 3.5 today, 3.5 next week. Actually, 3 today, 4 next week. So that's what we'll talk about some of the weightier myths that we hear about the Second Vatican Council. We'll talk about that tonight, and then next week we'll talk about some other ones. So that's what we have for tonight. We will also at some point show some photos that you have sent to us, photos of the domestic church, so we have some to show to you. And we'll also have question and answer at the very end, and I have a little bit of news to share about St. Bartholomew. And that's a time, Q&A is when you can ask any kind of questions. It could be theological, or it can be about the things going on at St. Bartholomew. And Father Nicolas, I can't remember, are you going to be able to stay with us until the end, or are we going to have you leave at some point after?
I have night prayer at 9 o'clock with some seminarians at the house, so I'll have to leave a little before that.
So Father Nicolas will be leaving at some point. So maybe if you have somebody just said nice haircut, Father Nicolas. So maybe if you have some, that was Sacred Heart of Jesus who said that. So the Sacred Heart of Jesus said nice haircut. Actually, that's Suzanne Perez. But anyway, so Father Nicolas will be leaving a little bit earlier. So if we enter into the Q&A, or at some point if you want to ask Father Nicolas a question during our conversation before 9, we can definitely field it. So that's pretty much the schedule. I think also sometimes we throw a few memes in there too with meme time.
Maybe.
So, yeah, we might have that there for you too, and maybe a few sacrilegious ones, or slightly offensive.
No.
Maybe
that's against the vision and mission of Conversing Clergy.
Maybe slightly offensive memes. But we'll see. We'll see how people respond with their thumbs up and thumbs down. So, Salve Regina will be the end of our evening tonight, so we'll be singing that together. All right. So in the meantime, we are going to get ready for the conversation. In the meme time, I'm going to sip on my coffee just to clear my throat here and give me a little bit of energy. And this one is actually a decapitated R2-D2. So usually there's a lid that goes on top, and it's the shape, it's actually an R2-D2 head, and it makes a noise when I pull the head off. And so I used to have that in my office, but it kept my coffee warm. But then I took it off, it would make a bunch of beeps and whistles. R2-D2 beep and whistle. So I don't have it today.
I thought you got it on eBay without the
I don't know.
head.
And maybe that would have been better. So, and why am I holding on to an R2-D2 mug tonight? It's because I feel a bit multi-purpose. I don't know. What do you got there, Father Ricardo?
I have Bible emergency numbers, and the reason why I have this mug, it's because I'm losing confidence in people, and it says to go to 1 Corinthians 13, and I'll find my help right there. I'm losing confidence in people.
Losing confidence in people. I hope it's not your pastor. Is it your pastor?
No.
Yeah, right. No.
No.
Father Nicholas, did you happen to pick up a mug, or do you have something else
Yeah,
there?
I've got something a little special tonight. I've got LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
it
that's
LaCroix or
good.
LaCroix?
LaCroix. I don't know.
La Croix.
Croix.
But what I like about it, I don't know if you could see that right there, but it says naturally essenced water.
Oh.
Naturally essenced.
I don't know what that means exactly,
Well,
but
you have to take a little bit of philosophy to understand essentia.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to be gross, but I think naturally means that somebody literally just like
They put
blew over the can
oh my
and sealed
gosh,
it. That's naturally scented.
It is
no,
naturally
not scented.
Essenced.
Essenced.
Oh, okay.
because apparently that's a verb now. Look at him; he's essencing over there.
Oh my God.
That sounds so bad. I'm going to change the color here so you don't see my red face. All right. It is, there are families that are watching this right now. All right. Let's go into the conversation now so we can put aside Father Nicholas's can of essence. Let's see. Robert Cechere says on the Conversing Clergy YouTube channel, nice to have you join us, Father Nicholas. And then we have Lila Variable says, hello, Father Christopher, Father Ricardo, and Father Nicholas. Marty Cruz is with us. Hello, all. Joseph Troxler says hello from the Troxlers, and Elizabeth Messina is with us. Thank you, Elizabeth. Al Sherrod says hello. Brenda, hello. Sacred Heart of Jesus, thank you for being with us. Layla says poor R2. I know R2D2, but he can always be fixed. Grace Tedevino says good evening, Father Christopher, Father Ricardo, and Father Nicolas. We do have LaDonna Hartman with us. Says Father Ricardo's mic seems to be louder than everyone else's. See, I told you, it's too close.
Ooh.
It has to be
You
like
did.
a fist. A fist. Yeah, there you go.
There.
Okay.
There you go.
I think you made that up.
Thank you. No, it's right here.
He tends to
See, there you
read
go.
things that
No,
are
no,
not there.
It's got to be indirect
I
to the
see it.
side.
Yeah,
to the
no,
side.
it's true. I'm looking at
Thumbs
it.
up
LaDonna
if you
Hartman.
think Father Ricardo's mic is a bit loud. Thumbs up on the. Thumbs up. Thumbs down if you don't. All right, just kidding, but not really. Daphne Reyes says, "Hello, fathers. It's good to see you again, and don't forget you are on live camera." I know. Thank you. Brenda says, that is funny, Father Rick. And Angelica Morphin says, hello, fathers, from Angelica. And Mateo Morphin, thank you for being with us. And Joe John Being says, good evening, Padres. George and Ann Viber, glad you're with us. Thank you so much. Facebook, good evening from Shirt, says Patty. Anne-Marie O'Donnell says, hello, everyone. Sandra Ashley says, hi, looking forward to this evening's discussion. Alcida Chasen says, good evening, fathers. Sylvia says, good evening, everyone. Rosario is with us too. Thank you. Sophie says to you, so good to see you, Father Nicholas. Isabel Champion says, good evening, watching from Edinburgh, Texas. Marty Brown says, great to be with all of you three. And Merivat Gata says, God bless you. You made me laugh. Good. We hope to make this a fun occasion. On the YouTube channel for St. Bartholomew, Claudia Sanchez says, hello, fathers. LaDonna Hartman says, good evening, Father Christopher, Father Ricardo, and Father Nicholas. And Lucy, Sister Lucy, is on with us. And glad you're here. And Carolina Ruiz, good evening, fathers. Let me refresh the YouTube page here for St. Bartholomew, just to make sure we're getting all the comments. Sometimes not everything comes in. Deacon Bill Wagner says, adoration, adoration, adoration. We'll talk about that later. Some good news. Sandra Godfrey for Facebook on my fan page says, I'm here. Glad you're with us, Sandra. Thank you so much. And Ron's Ghost says, evening, everyone. It's nice to start with a laugh. It is indeed. It is indeed. All right. So thank you so much for commenting. We love it when you put your comments here as well as your questions. And it's a great way for us to continue to connect with each other. That was part of the idea when we started going live. In fact, Conversing Clergy was pre-recorded before. Actually, originally it was a blog. Then it was pre-recorded videos. And multicams, etc. Father Nicholas remembers that. Being in the first one.
Was it always called
so-
Conversing Clergy
Since the beginning.
or Talking Priests?
No, Talking Priest was
No.
something I made up recently because I couldn't get the conversingclergy.com domain. Although I did research it to see what I can get, and there's a conversingclergy.fun.
I don't know what category of websites have .fun.
I don't know either. But I was thinking, hey,
I don't know.
Conversing Clergy.
It might be. It might work.
We're having fun.
It might work.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I was thinking .org or .net, but then, well, I was worried because .com was an advertising domain for a casino website, bunch of casino links. But now it's a dead domain, but somebody still owns it. Anyway, maybe you can pray for me that I can.
Who's the patron
reach out.
saint of casinos?
The patron saint
Yeah,
of
we
casinos.
should ask for the intercession.
Saint Monaco or Saint.
I don't know. There might be.
Saint
there's
Casino.
there's saint for everything.
You're right. That's true.
Maybe
We'll
somebody
have to think
will.
about it.
Somebody's googling that.
We'll have
I
to
don't think there's
about
a saint for vices though. I'm answering myself.
We'll have to think about that. All right, let's go ahead and open up with a prayer, which is I think it's a great segue from gambling vices into our discussion.
Never mind. Saint
What?
Augustine is a saint of vices to help us overcome those
I've never
vices.
heard that before.
Yeah, of drunks.
I mean,
drunkards.
so for
Drunkards.
addicts and all that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow, that's good.
So never mind.
It's good to know. Good to know. All right, let's go ahead and begin in prayer. Father Nicholas, you want to open up for us?
Sure.
Okay.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Father Nicholas. So we're going to get
Thank
right
you.
down into it. What are the myths that are out there about the Second Vatican Council? So we'll talk about 7, but today we're going to focus on 3. So just go ahead and dive right in for the first one, which is the Vatican Council. The Second Vatican Council was merely a pastoral council. Now, I just forgot something that's very important about the Vatican Council is for people to understand exactly what the Second Vatican Council is, and I wanted to say very briefly what it was. That was an ecumenical council. That means they brought in the bishops from all over the world. This was called together by Pope Saint John the 23rd. And what was the first year? Was it 1962?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
Yes.
when it was first initiated, and it was to address various questions in the Catholic Church. Some of them were not necessarily dogmatic in terms of defining doctrine, but rather how to communicate that doctrine in the world. It was addressing questions about how the Catholic Church can address the modern world, and so I'm sure I'm making some generalizations that might not be precise, but I think that's the best way. What do you think?
No,
Would
I
add
think you
anything to
did a
that?
good job.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right, so we're going to go back to the list. We're kind of assuming that everybody knows what it is. But the Second Vatican Council, the first myth is that it was merely a pastoral council. Father Nicholas, why do you think that? Why do you believe that myth?
Well, I don't believe the myth, and so part of that, the premise there is that there are two words I think are key: are merely, and then of course pastoral. So it's not merely pastoral because there are things that are maybe more broadly or finely fleshed out for some of the advancements in technology and things of the world, so that we could say there was some updated language for the church to use in order to continue the same evangelization of the deposit of faith, in order to communicate that more effectively to the world. And so, although that is a pastoral component, there are things that are reaffirmed among doctrines and dogmas of the faith that had been proclaimed dogmatically in the past. So to say that the council itself was merely pastoral is a bit of a misnomer, or maybe it's not really a dichotomy, but
Right.
It's just a bit misleading, that phrasing. So it's certainly, I would say there's an argument to be made that every council, in a sense, you could argue that there's a pastoral component to it, but to say that it's exclusively pastoral or that it's not pastoral in any component, I think you'd be hard pressed to be able to defend that well. So as you were mentioning, Vatican II certainly was a convening of the bishops of the entire world, and in an effort to to communicate the truths of the faith, the deposit of faith, in a new millennium coming up. They were on the horizon of a new millennium. They were wanting to be able to do that well, and so there were some things, key components, I think, that also were part of that in the advancement of technology, communication, travel, that gave an ability for people of the world to be exposed to much more. And so there was also a need to be for the precision of the language of the teachings of the church to be communicated broadly. And so one final note, that was a bit of a convoluted sentence there, but so there were 4 constitutions. There were 4 principal, there were 16 documents, right? But 4 of those were constitutions, so they were of an order or degree that take precedence among all the documents that were promulgated as a result of Vatican II.
Yeah.
And 2 of those are dogmatic constitutions, meaning they have to do with teachings. And so one of those 2 is Lumen Gentium, so that's the church, on the church, and how the church sees herself, the nature of the church in the modern world. And then the other one, De Verbum, which has, of course, some language and teaching, we can say instruction about how sacred scripture, consonant with the tradition of the faith, is the source of how we come to know God.
Right.
God's self-revelation. So those are, maybe there's nothing there that's new dogma, but it is a reaffirmation of doctrines and dogmas that were reaffirmed.
Yeah. Right. So it wasn't merely, so really, like you're saying, it's not merely a pastoral council. It also included certain doctrinal definitions, or it developed key doctrines, and that's in that, like you were saying, with those two documents. I think that's and what do you think about that, Father Ricardo?
Yeah, I think sometimes we operate based on the distortion of meaning of certain words. When we say the word pastoral, I think in modern, church history, we have watered it down. Like automatically, we say, oh, it's just pastoral. Like almost like if it's not important.
Right.
But we know the true meaning of pastoral is teach in truth, guide people into truth, love people in truth. So to say that the council is a pastoral council we should not water it down. On the contrary, it's grounded in truth and it's guiding us in love to truth. So, I think there's, like you said, it's almost like a false dichotomy. Like people who want to say it's just a pastoral council, they're operating based on a distorted meaning of the word pastoral.
Yeah, and I found that to be the case as well. Whenever, for example, if we're teaching the truth on something, you often hear the meme time.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
Sister Felicity Immaculata, Mother Superior of the Order of Eternal Indifference, sends you blessings from quarantine. I'm not sure if this is a meme, but it's a cat. It's a cat meme, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thumbs up if you like that, thumbs down if you don't. If you think that is slightly sacrilegious because it is a cat impersonating a religious sister.
I'll refrain from voting.
You'll refrain from voting.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm an irresponsible citizen.
You're not being a faithful citizen.
Right.
All right. So thumbs up, thumbs down. Father Nicolas, you gonna vote on this one? Or you hate cats? Your vote doesn't count.
I don't hate.
You don't hate in general.
Exactly.
I love it. All right, we'll read some of the comments here on the Conversing Clergy YouTube channel before moving forward. So let's see. we did have some nominations for these. Who would be the next saint, or who would be the saint for casinos? So we have Saint Gamble. Saint Cajetan is the patron saint of gamblers. Well, there you go.
Oh,
And then Sylvia says, "Hi, Father Chris and Father Rick. God bless you both." So we got some shout outs there. And Layla says that I'm assuming you're talking about the Second Vatican Council, why it was called. You said it was called to eradicate the seeds of discord and promote peace and unity of all mankind. If humankind, it was the first really ecumenical council. It signaled the churches. I'm not sure I would agree with you to say that it's the first ecumenical council.
no.
Because there were many more before that.
21st.
Yeah.
It
yeah.
was the 21st ecumenical
Yeah.
council.
Unless you mean it in another sense of ecumenical. So very good. Thank you, Layla, for your comments. Always welcome. And the council opened on October 11th, 1962. Thank you, Layla. Let's see. Wildfire says, God bless Father Nicholas. LaDonna Hartman gives a thumbs up. And Layla says, the cat looks like a cute nun. Thumbs up. A lot of laughs and thumbs up. Aggie Chris says, thumbs down.
Ooh.
Let's see.
He's honest. He's the only honest
delete
person.
Delete user. No, I'm just kidding.
Sister Fortune.
Sister Fortune has
It looks like she gives a thumbs down.
She has the index finger down, like, you're going down. Let's see.
I love it.
Let's see. Wildfire in Texas says, unfortunately, Layla, after the Second Vatican Council, the Catholic Church in the U.S. went off the rails. So that's an argument that's made sometimes, and it's definitely not because of the Second Vatican Council. So that's why we're trying to get into some of these myths, that are out there, to help with that. Domain name. I can't read what you put there, Don. Sorry. All right. And Layla says, cats know who like them, Father Nick, be forewarned. That's right. You're going to see one show up in the back there. All right. And then very briefly here on the Facebook page for St. Bartholomew. A lot of shout-outs, a lot of love. Thank you so much. Patty loves the meme. Thank you. And Marty Brown refrains from voting. We do have another nominee or another name that's possible for a saint for casinos. Saint Ka-Ching. Very clever. Love it. Thank you. Okay. And then Hector Moreno on the St. Bartholomew YouTube channel says a meme named La Monjigata. Hey, I like that. La Monjigata. Monjigata. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. That's like a nickname to people who are very...
You're saying it regrettably.
No, it's because it's so hard. It's a word in Spanish that you say mojigata to women that are very conservative, ultra conservative.
Yes, because
But it's derogatory. So,
derogatory.
yeah.
That's not good.
So don't use it.
Not kind to the cat.
No.
Sean Dolahan says on the Facebook, my Facebook fan page says, were any new dogmatic doctrinal pronouncements made, and is the lack of such doctrinal statements unique compared to the other ecumenical councils? And Sandra says, so good to see you all. But anyway, who wants to answer that question? Were any new dogmatic doctrinal pronouncements made?
Well,
depends on what you mean, right?
About that.
That brings us up now to our list. So go back to our list. And the second myth is its teachings are infallible.
Well, yeah, I don't know why it's said like that. I mean, yes. It's a myth. It's a myth, but it's not a myth.
Exactly. So can you tell the people why?
Okay. So, well, first, the word infallible, right?
Yeah.
Infallibility. Infallibility means free from error when the universal church teaches in matters of faith and morals. And how does that happen? Well, it can be the Pope alone, or it can be the Pope along with the bishops of the world. And, so you have to, in order for you to find these infallible teachings, you have to find in these documents the words such as we define, we declare, like those kind of words just point to infallible teachings. Vatican II, though, does affirm some infallible teachings, infallible dogmas of faith in all of the documents. So like, Father Nicholas said, those four major constitutions, there are infallible dogmas over there. But the fact that, primordially the council was a pastoral one. It was not defining new infallible teachings. For example, Nicaea, right? The divine nature of Jesus. What's another one? The Fourth Lateran Council was transubstantiation, right? The real presence. It was affirming that infallibly. Theotokos, Ephesus, was declaring infallibly that the Virgin Mary is the Mother of God. So anyway, in that sense, Vatican II was not declaring any particular infallible teaching, or it was not declaring any anathemas, saying, if you don't believe this, you're anathema. However, it was, if you read all these documents, it was affirming many infallible teachings. However, we need to understand that not because it's not infallible, it doesn't mean that we should not believing it or that we should not assent. There are different levels of how we should submit to a teaching of the church. Obviously, the highest one, infallible teachings, it's called an assent of faith. That's how you say it. And then the other assent is religious assent, which you have to submit to that teaching religiously, with whatever that means. But you just have to accept it. So, in short, the teachings of Vatican II are not optional. Okay.
Yeah.
And as an example of that,
I appreciate you going into number 3. I think that's.
I think we are all doing that, right?
I think that's absolutely wonderful.
Only.
That's great. No, you know what? Actually, let's go to the list now.
Okay.
So let's talk about number 3. The myth is its teachings are not binding. All right, go ahead. Continue. You made my job easier, though. It's great.
Sorry, it just. I think also I was trying to not to repeat a lot of what Father Nicolas said.
We're live, folks. We're live.
An example. I don't know if you know the SSPX. The SSPX is a society of Pius X that they did not recognize the Vatican Council as a legitimate council. Well, guess what? In order for them to come back in full communion with the Church, they need to accept the teachings of Vatican II. So, right from the bat, if the Church is saying that means that these teachings are not optional, right? So, regardless if a Vatican II was defining infallible teachings, which we just said that it affirmed what has been taught in the past. Nonetheless, everything that it taught, we must assent to it religiously if we are full Catholics.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
As opposed to partial Catholics.
Yeah, and I think something that people tend to quote about the reality that the Second Vatican Council as a whole does not have an infallible character. They're taking the quote from St. Paul VI, Pope St. Paul VI, also a council, a pope of the council. And the quote is that on 1966, January 12th, it says, "Given the council's pastoral character, it avoided pronouncing in an extraordinary manner dogmas endowed with the note of infallibility." So that's often the quote that is taken. And that's a quote that I actually mentioned when somebody asked if the Second Vatican Council is infallible, and it doesn't have the note of infallibility. That's St. Paul VI. But, and this is the part that's often not, they don't continue with the quote, because what this is really saying is what Father Ricardo just said. But if he continues, if we continue with the quote, he says, "The Council has invested its teachings with the authority of the Supreme Ordinary Magisterium, which ordinary magisterium is so obviously authentic that it must be accepted with docility, with sincerity by all the faithful, according to the mind of the Council, as expressed in the nature and aims of the individual documents." So really, he's saying that it's not. There was no extraordinary. What's the word again? See, I have to make sure to get the words right. In an extraordinary, it avoided pronouncing in an extraordinary manner dogmas endowed with the note of infallibility, just like what we would hear from the Council of Nicaea. Those were dogmas pronounced in an extraordinary manner with the note of infallibility, or the Immaculate Conception, etc. but the Second Vatican Council didn't move in that approach.
And
So yeah,
And the fact that precisely because Vatican II, the intention of the council was not to define new infallible doctrines, that tells you something. It tells you that you have to read it like John Paul II said and Pope Benedict XVI said, with a hermeneutical of continuity, not of rupture. What does that mean? That we need to read Vatican II in light of everything that has
Exactly.
been defined for 2,000 years, precisely because it was not its first aim at declaring new doctrine.
yeah, and,
So-
and something else that Pope Paul VI says in the end of this quote, he says, again, kind of repeating it again, is that it must be accepted with docility and sincerity by all the faithful, according to the mind of the council, as expressed in the nature and aims of the individual documents. So we have to understand what was the mind of the council when they wrote it, what was the nature within which they wrote it, and what were the aims of the document. So that means that we can't, like the Council of Nicaea, look and pick every single word and treat it as if it has the weight of infallibility. Rather, we have to understand the nature and the aims of those documents with the mind of the bishops, the fathers who wrote it, and that means that we need to interpret it in the continuity of tradition, like what you just said. So one of the challenges, I think, some of the challenges of why people struggle with the Second Vatican Council is that sometimes, and I've said this before, is that we can treat as if the Catholic Church was founded in 1962, and this was the first document, and that's just not that was never the intention of the Second Vatican Council. So I think that's really important. So thank you so much. Yeah, just to read some of the comments here on the Conversing Clergy YouTube channel. Another possible name for the patron of casinos, Saint Bankrupt.
I like it.
Wildfire in Texas says, I was born in '62 at Catholic schools and in CCD. My religious education was awful and almost non-existent. Mine too. I totally understand. That's just the way it was. Mary Kozak, saludos padre, que bendición verlos y escucharlos. Thank you, Mary. Wildfire also says, my daughter attended Pope John XXIII. The theology teachers were very good, and at that time they offered classes for the parents. I felt so blessed to learn about the church. That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They should go back to that.
Yeah. The church counteracts errors by demonstrating the validity of her teachings rather than by condemnation, says Layla. There is a history of both validity but also reinforcing it with the weight of anathematized, which means may they be accursed, which actually comes from the sacred scriptures from St. Paul. I can't remember the exact chapter and verse or which letter, but I remember I had to go back to that, the origin of the anathemas and the doctrines. But it's to say very clearly, no, this binds your conscience, is why they would say that.
I just want to correct myself. When I was giving the example of the SSPX, I said in order for them to be in full communion. That's not what I meant. They are in an irregular canonical situation, so in order for them to be in a regular canonical situation, they must accept the teachings of Vatican II.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And Pope Benedict made that very clear too. Yeah. Rob Stagg says, would it be correct to say that the Vatican II was needed to redirect the Church's theology to be more inclusive? I guess it means what you mean by inclusive. What are we including and who are we including? So I think that would be maybe if you want to flesh out that question a bit more. Janet Sabio, I'm now looking at the Facebook page for St. Bartholomew. Janet Sabio says, are there any conflicts with the Church today regarding the Second Vatican Council? There have always been, since the very beginning, conflicts for the Second Vatican Council. There are conflicts within the Second Vatican Council among bishops and theologians. There have always been conflicts in every single council that has been called. The councils are often called because there are conflicts to deal with. So I guess you can say, yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest conflict that it's very visible, it's liturgy. I mean, that's, as a matter of fact, the first constitution that was promulgated by the council was on liturgy, Sacrosanctum Concilium, 1963. So, I mean, yes, in liturgy, there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of liturgy wars, if you want to call them like that. Why? Because, well, guess what? Vatican II did not, in one of the documents, said this is how the Mass should be, right? That was later how a missal was going to reflect the Constitution, right? And so
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's something that's going to be one of the myths that we'll talk about next week as well. We're going to talk more about what the Second Vatican Council actually said and dispel some of the
Yes.
myths. And which leads me to the next one. Anne-Marie O'Donnell Carroll says, I received my communion in 1962. It is one of the happiest memories of my childhood. The rails were removed after that. Can you help me understand that? I actually don't. I need to at some point do a study for myself, because the Second Vatican Council, there's no place where it talks about removing the rails. And even if you look at the Roman Missal, if you look at the general instruction of the Roman Missal, it doesn't talk about removing rails or putting them in. It just doesn't mention it. I don't know if anybody here knows the history of that.
Well, I mean,
don't.
it kind of implies, the germ implies that there are no communion rails, because it says that the way people should receive communion is by standing.
Yeah.
So right from the bat kind of implies
Sure.
that. But the germ is, it can change, these
Yeah,
are.
it can change, right? It's not a necessary.
But no,
yeah.
you mentioned something key.
And by the way, germ is General Instruction of the Roman Missal, which is a book, something that's been published to help us to celebrate the Mass. That's what basically the
Yes.
germ is. Yeah.
But no, you mentioned something that is key, is that Vatican II did not say get rid of the rails.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I wish I could help you understand it, because I still don't completely understand it myself. I wish I could go in and maybe at some point do a study on that to see what the history was and were there some liturgical commissions that were put together who took it out. It's just not. I mean, it definitely couldn't have been for practical reasons. I mean, that couldn't have been it. So yeah, something we can look into.
Everything has to do with theology.
Yeah.
I don't think people would say that I'm wrong in saying that there was a shift in a theological emphasis in Vatican II. It did not disrupt what we have talked about the liturgy for centuries, but it does bring a different focus on theology in regards to the Mass.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. All right. I wish I could. We could shed more light on that, but that might be a question for another Conversing Clergy later on. So I think another topic would be meme time.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
Fat Lives Matter.
Oh
Open
my
the buffets.
gosh.
Open the buffets. Yes. I love it.
Now this one is from Father Ricardo.
I sent that.
So he sent it. He sent it. I thought I had to.
I love it.
laughed
I
out-
laughed so hard.
I laughed out loud when I saw this, so it was
Oh
great.
my gosh.
Open the buffets.
It's like, yeah, my life matters.
What is
Come
your
on.
favorite buffet? Kind of buffet to go to?
Sirloin Stockade.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like
I've
to
never
go
heard
to.
of that.
No, it's not here in Texas. I don't think
Okay.
so. I don't think
they
you can
do
find
have,
that one here.
They have the Golden Corral.
Yeah,
Golden Corral,
it's
man,
good.
that is just all kinds of evil. It's so bad, it's good. I'm a Chinese buffet man myself.
Oh,
yeah. The less
Some are good.
the more American Chinese, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff
And-
the Chinese don't even touch, but the Americans do and we think it's Chinese.
And do you really
So-
take advantage of the buffet, or there are
Oh.
some people that you invite, hoping that they will eat the whole, meal.
I don't cheat
And they're-
myself. I don't go to the buffets very often. Like maybe once or twice a year I might go to a buffet. But when I do, man, I don't cheat myself.
Wow, yeah, that's
I
good.
don't cheat
That's the
myself.
whole purpose.
Yes, absolutely. So a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Rob already responded with a thumbs down. So there you go. All right. So we got about maybe 13 more minutes, and we have Father Nicolas with us. If you wanted to ask him any questions about how he's doing, he's here before he takes off. We do have some thumbs down, more thumbs down.
What?
But Sacred Heart of Jesus is rolling laughing, and a lot of thumbs up.
Oh, come on. It's a good joke.
Okay, so Sacred Heart says yes. Kingsville, Texas had a sirloin stockade. It's now closed though. I remember when I went to A&M Kingsville. I remember the sirloin stockade.
I think it's from Australia. Is that right?
I don't know.
I think
I honestly
so.
don't know
I'm
where it's
not
from.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Jojo is with exclamation mark saying cheat days. Lots of thumbs up. All right. And Layla says it stems from the Jerusalem temple to designate that the holiness of that part of the temple where God is, the Holy of Holies, the inner sanctum. So referring to the communion realm, not to the buffet. Wildfire. That's good. That's beautiful, beautiful message there. Very insightful. Father Nicholas, you got a question. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm loving being a pastor. It's been a great adventure.
Awesome. Let's see. We do have some questions that came up too. Let's see. We got some more on the Golden Corral, the Golden Trough. That's exactly right.
Judy Troxler asked, can we put rails in?
Where is she saying that, on the YouTube channel?
No, on the Facebook you just had up
Oh, okay.
at the top.
Well,
At the
maybe
top.
we can.
Oh, can we put the rails in? I know that came up the last Conversing Clergy, and I'm definitely not opposed to it. Like I said, there's nothing prohibiting the communion rail. I know at one parish, they have the communion rail for those who want to kneel to receive communion as an option, and they also have communion ministers distributing on different parts in front of the rail. So, but there's space.
You can always
So-
call the city of Katy to bring the rails.
The city of Katy?
Yeah, the rails.
What the railway?
Train.
Oh my gosh.
The train rails.
Thumbs up if you like that joke. Thumbs down if you didn't.
No, it's because Father Nicholas only said the rails. He didn't say communion or altar rails, so
Oh.
that's why I'm just call the
Always-
city of Houston.
Always with precision.
Of course, right?
Always with precision. You're the one that would be there crafting the words for an extraordinary extraordinary declaration of infallible doctrine.
maybe.
That's good.
Um,
So Judy asks another question
something
though. That's
something
interesting.
beautiful about communion rails. Can I say that?
Yeah. Because
Um,
Judy's asking about this real quick.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
The communion rail has a beautiful theology, and that is, the altar. It's done of a particular material. It's either wood in the bottom or marble, and if you are building the communion rail with all the theological implications, you would actually build the communion rail with the same material as the altar, because just as the priest is consuming the body and blood from the altar, the communion rail stands as an extension of that altar, so that the faithful, when they are kneeling, they're also receiving Christ from his altar. So that's a beautiful connection, and we have a church that does that beautifully visually, and that's St. Michael in Sage Road by the Galleria.
Yes, right.
You can see that it's the same green marble.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just beautiful connection there.
Yeah, I've seen that. Really is. And Annunciation has a similar setup as well with the rails. Judy is asking, is some of the problem with Vatican II the fact that people misinterpreted the terms of it? I think that's definitely the case. There is a lot of misinterpretation. I think one example is how we have integrated Latin into our masses. We still celebrate the whole Mass in English, the whole Mass is in Spanish, but there are certain parts that are in Latin, and following the Second Vatican Council, and it's explicitly suggested and promoted and directed that certain parts of the Mass really ideally should be in Latin. So some of the objections were that they changed that at Vatican II. First of all, I'm impressed that they know what Vatican II is when they say that, and second of all, I'm also very very happy that they cared enough to actually say that. But no, Vatican II said the exact opposite. So, Latin should be included, and that's one of the 7 we're going to talk about next week. But definitely a lot of misunderstanding. Ali Newman asks, is there a difference between communion rail and altar rail? That's an interesting question. I have heard that there's a difference.
I mean, there's a difference of emphasis, but it's the same thing. It's the same structure. But yeah, I mean, do you want to say?
What I have heard that there is a difference, that you can actually have a rail around the altar that only denotes a separation, a sense of holiness, etc. And a communion rail is an altar rail, but it has the kneelers for people to receive communion. So I've heard those.
Okay.
Yeah, both of those. So yeah, it may be a tomato kind of thing, but I've heard from others that there might be a distinction. So yeah.
So an altar rail is a potential communion rail.
It's a potential. It is in
It's
potentia.
in potentia.
In
yeah.
potentia.
That's
In
good.
potentia. Yeah. Let's see. Judy Troxer says, after hearing Father Rick's explanation of communion rails, I really like that. Such beautiful
Oh.
symbolism. There you go.
Yeah, and not only that, but also for communion, they bring this white cloth over the communion rails so that people actually, they even have a cloth like the altar has. So it's really, really neat.
Awesome. Looking here, let's see, one more on the Facebook page for St. Bartholomew. Eduardo Torres says, are you familiar with the argument between Vigano and Barron? I guess he's referring to Archbishop Vigano and Bishop Barron. I am not completely familiar with it. I have heard that there is one. I saw some YouTube videos. I haven't actually checked them out. Any of you guys heard about that?
I'm not aware of any
Yeah.
dispute.
Yeah, I'll have to. I might check that out. I know that there are, like I said, there is conflict within the church. I don't think that's a secret among bishops and in some ways among priests as well. But something that we can always remember is that there has been conflict in the church always, right? And they take on different forms all throughout the 2,000 years.
Not in the Catholic Church.
No, not in the Catholic
No.
Church. No, of course not.
Never.
No. So yeah, so it comes on. It brings on different forms, and that's not to trivialize what we're going through right now, because it is very important. The time that we're going through. That's why you got to pray. You got to pray for the bishops. Pray for the Pope. Pray for us priests to be guided. We know that the deposit of faith is always guarded. That's what St. John the 23rd said. I was reading a recent quote from him about the Second Vatican Council, that part of the purpose of the Second Vatican Council is to both guard and promulgate the teachings of the Church to the world. So both guard and also communicate. So, all right.
Jesus said that to Peter. I have prayed
Yes.
for your faith to
Right.
never fail.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that was kind of a rough
That's-
start, with the 12 apostles there at the crucifixion. Kind of rough there. A little bit of a stumble there. All right, and a little bit on more on the YouTube for Conversing Clergy. Layla is talking about, I think you're talking about distributing communion, about only the priest distributing. If a soul will wait hours in line to get a driver's license, is not Jesus not worth so much, worth the wait? So I think you're talking about the, that only the priests, the clergy should distribute communion. Ideally, that should be the case. I think we spoke about that last week, but that is the way it's supposed to be. We do have extraordinary ministers because of the vast numbers of people and the need to distribute communion. When you have a lot of people, I think if you have like 50 people, then it should only be the priests. But when you have a church about 1,200 full and you have 8 masses or 6 masses, it gets very, very difficult to just have the clergy do it.
and if we end up having that communion rail, the laity would not distribute communion at the rail. They would have other stations. Why? Because also, even visually, you see that it looks like the sheep are going to the, what do you call it? The fence,
Yeah.
I guess.
Right.
And they are being fed by the pastor.
Right.
So I mean, it even has that connotation
Yes, it
when
does.
they are in the communion rail.
Yes,
So the
it does.
laity, would not give that
Yeah.
symbolism.
Like a feeding trough.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Like when you go to the zoo and you're feeding the sheep,
Yeah.
it'd be really beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful image there.
Yeah.
Feeding trough. We'll put that in. Awesome. So we do have a good question from Don, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So Don says, can you elaborate on the shift in the Mass mentioned earlier? So yeah, there's been a liturgical renewal here at St. Bartholomew, and the central core of the renewal is the love of Jesus Christ, who gave himself up for us on the cross. And the Mass is meant to bring us to the holy altar, the sacrifice of Jesus Christ on the cross, and offer it up to God the Father for the glorification of God and for the salvation of souls. I mean, that's what the Mass is meant to be. That's what it always has been. So the renewal has been a way of growing from where we were already, because we were very reverent, and then to continue that journey, to make it even better, to move it to where it really needs to be ideally. And will never actually be ideal, right? Because the most important part is the heart. Is our heart renewed by the liturgy? So all that we do externally is meant to be in that service. Particularly what has happened since the Second Vatican Council, not because of what the Vatican Council said, but how it has been perhaps interpreted, or the movement, etc., is to desacralize the Mass so that it can be a more quote-unquote intimate experience, but rather, instead of making it intimate, it had become casual and worldly. So some of the music had more worldly, casual undertones. And also, the use of the vernacular was never meant to replace everything in the Mass. So it was meant to include a little bit of Latin for all kinds of reasons. One of those is because it lends a sense of the sacred. The Latin, in the Latin language of the Roman Rite, unites us with the entire universal church, and it also unites us with the family of the church throughout the centuries. So that is also meant to bring us beyond our own selves, our own cultures, etc., our own language, whatever we feel comfortable with. And another thing I'll mention too is that part of the sacred, the rhythm of sacredness is also mystery and revelation. So when you have a Mass that is very casual, and that where everything is just constantly just out there, you lose that sense of mystery and hiddenness. That's because that's the pattern of how God reveals himself. Jesus celebrated the Last Supper inside the upper room. He didn't celebrate it with all the other disciples. It was only with his 12, right? The intimate gathering. And then it is revealed to the world. The Mass also has that same pattern. So, for example, some folks were wondering about the placement of the candles. So the candles were placed on the altar. Again, that's part of the sacred tradition of the church. And so the candles were placed there as well as a cross, so that there can be a hiddenness while the priest is celebrating Mass. And then, so there's a mystery. It is hidden in a way. And then when the priest elevates the host at the moment of consecration, it's revelation for all to see. Same thing with Ad Orientem, which has a sense of the sacred offering up, the sacrificial offering to God the Father through Jesus at the altar with the holy people of God who are priestly people, whose participation is more than just saying words. It's also in facing the altar, and the priest faces the altar with them. That then when he elevates that host, again, there is a hiddenness, and then there is revelation at the elevation of the host. I mean, I can go on and on and on about it, but anyway, he asked me to elaborate, and so I did.
Good.
So I'm going to go ahead and, I think at this time, just quietly reflect on meme time.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
Finally, I found a meme that won't offend anyone.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. It's true, right? Yeah.
Don, you should like this one. That one was from Don. So he sent me that meme. I forgot to mention, let me go back to the first meme. I try to say the people. So Daphne sent me this meme. So there you go.
Well, you may offend some people.
With this one?
With the, yeah.
Yeah, I'm offended.
I'll tell you after the show.
I'm offended. I found a meme that won't offend anyone. Oh well.
People find ways to be offended.
This is true.
I mean,
this
I
is
am.
true.
I can speak for myself.
I'm offended that I'm offended that anybody would be offended. So let's all take offense. If you may have noticed that our wonderful guest has left, not out of frustration, but he did have to take off at 9 o'clock. So because he did have something to do. I think he said with
night prayer with the seminarians.
Yeah, night prayer with the seminarians. So that was really good that he's continuing to do that. All right, we can move on to our next section, which is pictures of the domestic church. And let's check out what we got in the email. So this is an image from Cynthia Siebel. So we see an altar here set up with a white and red rose and rosary, holy water. See, that's something that we need is at some point do a distribution of holy water. And I think we're actually working towards that. So let's check out number 2. And this was sent to us by the Nichols family. So this is, let me make sure I can read the names correctly. So Mary Catherine Bernadette, and Teresa. So they're all decked out there in some, I think it's like if they made those at home, but they look like legit habits. I think they're ready to go. So very nice. And then finally the third one. This is of Father Ricardo celebrating it was the Extraordinary Form baptism.
Yes, that was the baptism of Peter Nichols.
Yeah.
The youngest
There he
of the
is.
Nichols.
Right there in the middle. Very appropriate to mention the name Peter too, considering the reading that's coming up. Yeah, tuus Petrus. So thank you so much to Cynthia and also the Nichols family for showing us photos of the domestic church. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and open up. We're about to kind of wrap it up, but we'll open up for Q&A. But before we do that, I do want to let everybody know once again, if you had joined us in the middle of the stream and you're new to us, or if you heard at the very beginning, that it's a very good thing if you want to continue to stay in touch with Conversing Clergy, to hit the follow. Excuse me, I'm still kind of. Let's try that. All right. So hit the follow and also the like on the Facebook page for the video as well as the page. And if you are on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button to be subscribed and also the bell. The bell will notify you whenever we go live or publish videos. So that's a great way to keep in touch. And when you hit that bell, it's good to hit the all instead of personalized. So that way you can get all the notifications whenever we go live or publish videos, and not just when YouTube decides that this is what you want to see. All right, so we got a lot of thumbs up and smiley faces. Don put up a lot because it's from him. Daphne is like, oh my goodness. And Layla says, anything of worth is veiled and lifts the heart and mind to the divine mysteries. It creates a longing in the soul for the divine union with God. Exactly right.
Yes.
I think that's why it's kind of neat for the women that are wearing veils now in Mass. I think that's beautiful. It's not a requirement, and one should not think they're less holy than the other. That's not what it's about. It's expression of devotion with the use of the veil for the women. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Aggie Chris says, a white square, question mark, exclamation mark. That's right. That's exactly right. I hope you're not offended. So there you go. Going over to the Facebook page. Anne Marie says prayers for vocations. Exactly right. I think she was responding to what we're talking about with conflicts among clergy. So, yes, we do have that. I'm switching over to the St. Bartholomew YouTube channel. There is a comment here that St. Elizabeth Ann Seton does have the communion rails.
Mm-hmm.
And R. Smith says, Father Nicholas, it's Compline. So she remembered that that Compline was coming up. So I'm trying to see if there's any other questions coming in. I did see Layla said that she has put a deed of trust placed on your home so that she says, when I die, my estate will go to St. Bart's. That will most certainly pay for a communion rail. Layla, I think that is absolutely wonderful and generous. Thank you so much for your generosity. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Rob Stagg says, you just answered my question about evangelization in Vatican II. So, and X-Wing says, the debate between Barron and Vigano is no doubt an important one. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I saw some YouTube videos out there about it, and I'll have to check it out and see what's being said there. I know that it's a difficult topic. Actually, there are multiple topics that are being brought up on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Eduardo,
beyond my pay grade.
yeah, it's above my pay grade as well.
Above.
Yeah. Eduardo says, when can we receive communion in the mouth again? That's going to be up to the cardinal, but he did say that it's temporary, so that's something that's important. So that's important to keep in mind. But hopefully soon, hopefully very soon.
I feel like a lot of people are like in that red light. ready
Yeah.
for the green light to
Yeah.
communion and the tongue again.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. Okay. I think we're going to start moving towards the finish line here for tonight. If you want to throw some other questions in there, but if any other questions come up, I'll read them. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and move towards some of our closing remarks and some news that's coming up. The first thing is that tomorrow's rosary in English I have to cancel because I have to go to Dallas to celebrate a funeral, so I won't be able to do the English rosary. So we'll be pushing that out onto the st-bart.org website, so people can know about that. The other thing is that we are looking into opening up adoration of the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament in the solemn form, so with the monstrance. And we're looking into doing that from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. But here's the thing. We need volunteers. We need people to be there in the chapel or in the church. We don't know which place we're going to be going yet. We're still talking about what would be the best way to go about it. But we would need people to help to adore the Blessed Sacrament and also to assist with any kind of sanitization needs. So if you are interested in helping with that, then what would be good for you to do, maybe my moderator is on here tonight, is to just go to the st-bart.org website and reach out through the phone number that is published there. If nobody answers, you can leave a message, and then that will be passed on. So Deacon Bill Wagner is the one who is in charge of that, and I think he actually has his email as well on the st-bart.org website under staff, and you can contact him too in order to get that started. I hope you don't mind, Deacon Bill, if you're still on here, that I dropped your name there, but he is in charge of the Adoration Committee. So from 9 to 7, we don't know when we're going to start that. Part of it depends on how many, if we can get all of our team together, all of our people that can make sure that there are at least 2 people present, and also to sanitize. We do have our Conversing Clergy next week, and like I said, today was part 1, and then next week is going to be part 2. So, but next week, Father Ricardo will not be with us. I think you're on vacation or something?
Yeah, visiting.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Awesome. So, well-deserved rest. So in the meantime, Deacon Bill Wagner will be joining us. He'll actually be here in the studio. So we're going to keep our social distancing, and at the same time, we made sure that we're still pretty much clear of the virus, so he'll be here. But Christopher Meyer will be joining us via Skype from the seminary. So it'll be great for him to be back with us. It'll be the first time since he left left for the end of pastoral year. So that'll be super great. And he was on the ground floor for getting the live stream started. So it's going to be exciting times to have him. So, and also for our Patreon patrons, thank you so much for your continued contribution and your support. And I would like to mention the names of those who are our top donors. So hopefully, again, I always try to make sure I can pronounce your names well. So the first one is Alcida Chasen, Mary Musket, Robert Chacher, Karen Kubos, and one that wishes to remain anonymous. So thank you to all of you Patreon patrons for helping, and all of you who are watching who contribute through the Patreon channel. We're so grateful to you. It's a great way to continue to remain connected to the team and to help advance in different ways. And also, I like to do different kinds of exclusive live streams, which I haven't started yet, but I will be very soon, and help to shape the future of Conversing Clergy. So if you're interested in being part of that, you can go to patreon.com/Conversing Clergy, and the link is down below on YouTube and up above on Facebook. So if you want to send to us any memes to include for a meme time, you can send them to the email address cmeyer@talkingpriest.com, and I promise I'm going to change that. I'm probably just going to crank out a Gmail, something like that. Actually, a Patreon patron suggested that in a message. I said, you know what, I'm just going to do that, like conversingclergy@gmail or something like that. But in the meantime, we're still using the postmortem email, cmeyer@talkingpriests.com. If you wish to give to St. Bartholomew, the best way to do that is to go to givebart.com. And if you go to givebart.com, you'll be sent into the Faith Direct sign up, and that will help St. Bartholomew. If you struggle to give, please do not be concerned. Really the most important and powerful thing you can do is pray for the parish and pray for whichever parish that you are from, because prayer moves the heart of God. And so that is the best thing that you can do. And thank you for your generosity, both materially and spiritually. Is there anything else I'm forgetting, Father Ricardo?
Not that I can think of.
No?
Mm-mm.
And I'm going to do one last sweep.
Oh,
to
wait.
see-
Did you
Yeah.
already talk about masses?
Oh, yes, we are opening all the masses. That's kind of a big deal, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so we are opening all the masses, and so we're going to be all of them. So the 5 o'clock on Saturday evening, the 7 o'clock in Spanish, so both of those on Saturday, and
Not this weekend.
Not this weekend.
Not this weekend, yeah.
No, please don't show up to masses
Yes,
that aren't.
please.
Please don't show up at 6:30 a.m. for the 7 a.m. mass. So that will be starting
The 30th.
Yeah, so the 29th and the 30th. That's when we'll be opening up all the masses, and again, we need help. So I decided to take a risk, take a gamble, because we said we don't have enough people yet, Father. I said, you know what? The people are going to respond, because I know that they want these masses open. So we opened them up. So the 7 a.m. is going to be open. The 9 a.m. was already open. The 11 a.m. is going to be reopened. The 1 was already open, but the 3 p.m. is going to be reopened. And of course, the 5 p.m. was already there.
And
So-
5 p.m. on Saturday will also be open.
Yeah, the
right?
5 p.m. on Saturday will also be open. So it's going to be great to get back to the regular schedule, and hopefully that will help with people being turned away. And in the meantime, you know, I didn't say last time or announce that we have overflow masses for the 9 and the 11. I mean, there is, but I didn't even announce it last time, and it was
Yeah.
already overfilled.
Yeah.
So I'm just be mindful of that you may not be able to get into even the overflow mass at the 9. Excuse me, not the 9, but the 9 and the 1. But again, we're going to be opening up all the masses very, very soon. So let me switch over to. All right. So a lot of people are happy about that. All right. So for help about the sanitization, I see the email pop up here. It's stbartsinfo@st-bart.org. So stbartsinfo@st-bart.org. St. Bart's info@st-bart.org if you want to help out with the masses. There was a question that did come up that I caught as I was speaking. So since the parish has 3 priests now, how do you decide which priest celebrates which mass? We mostly cast lots and we sumo wrestle. I don't know. What we do is we just look at try to look at it as even of a distribution as possible. So basically that's it. That's how we do it.
That's right.
And Father Santi can't do Spanish masses, at least not yet. I think he wants to do at some point, but he's practicing his Spanish, so it may be even more evenly distributed. So that's how we do it. So there we go. Yeah, Aggie Chris, let's fill those hours. That's right. Okay. Awesome. I think that's pretty much it for the evening. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Remember that the purpose of Conversing Clergy, the core purpose, is that we have conversations with each other and also with the laity, so that we can hear Jesus himself converse with us, that our hearts may be burning within us. And we hope that that's what you experienced tonight, and that you will experience if you can join us in the future. Remember, we do have the Tuesday Spanish Rosary next week, and our Conversing Clergy 8 p.m. on Wednesday. And remember to join us for the Rosary 6:45 in Latin on Wednesday, and then English again on Thursday. My name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew, and we need to sing our Salve Regina.
Yes,
that's what
we
I was trying to
will.
remember. Okay. So
Right
let's
now,
sing
right?
it. Yeah, Salve
Okay.
Regina. Yeah.
Salve Regina,
Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, et spes nostra salve. A te clamamus, exules filii Eve, a te suspiramus, gementes et flentes, in hac lacrimarum vale. Ea ergo, advocata nostra, ios tuos misericordes oculos, ad nos converte. Et Iesum benedictum fructum ventris tui, nobis post hoc exilium ostende. O clemens, o pia, o dulcis Virgo Maria. My name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
And my name is Father Rick Arriola, and I'm one of the parochial vicars here.
Thank you for joining us, Conversing Clergy, clergy who talk and listen. And remember, because he loved us first, we seek to do his will.
Here I am at your door. Would you let me in? I have gained all the world, restless heart again. And I've been here before. How do you forgive? I just wanna feel you move. Closer, would you make your move? It's your endless love. It's your endless love. It's your endless love that satisfies my soul. There are wars in my mind, fighting who I am. There are lies telling me I'm a worthless man. Would you speak to my heart? Let hope rise again. I just wanna feel you move. Closer, would you make your move? It's your endless love. It's your endless love. It's your endless love that satisfies my soul. Love is the movement that puts us in motion.